Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be back here tonight. Before we jump in, I just want to thank Hodo Foods, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, and Orgain. I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com and click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy. Just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual Veg Fest YouTube channel, you're entered to win one of the four prize packs. And of course, big thank you to the Plant Based Network for sponsoring Virtual Veg Fest. So, tonight we're talking about vegan breakfast. The question that I posed on social media today was, can you eat breakfast any other time of the day? And my answer to that is 100% yes. You can also have dinner for breakfast, but we can talk about that in another episode. So, plant-based breakfast. What are some of my favorites? Don't forget to post any of your questions. I will address them live. My favorite thing for breakfast is super easy. I love overnight oats, and you can make like 5 days worth. So you only have to do it once, and it will cover your whole work week. Then, if you want to get fancy on the weekends or your days off, you can have something different. Overnight oats, I take just half a cup of oats, half a cup of my favorite plant-based milk. Soy milk is my favorite, but you can use any plant-based milk. They all do the job. And you just mix them together in a little container and you put them in the fridge. They only have to be in the fridge for a few hours. About 8 hours gets me the perfect consistency. But like I said, you can leave them for days, so you can eat them throughout the week, and you don't have to worry about making breakfast ahead of time. I love to throw in some walnuts and some fruit. You can do frozen fruit if you want to just defrost it a little bit. You can just pour it and like run some water over it, throw it in the microwave for a few seconds, and toss that into your oats. Or you can use a little bit of preserves to get a little bit of fruit in there. Um, I love bananas. Bananas are pretty easy to get year round for the most part. Um, there's like everything. You could do anything. Once I made overnight oats, like an almost like an almond joy with just a little bit of cocoa powder and some of the coconut flakes, a little splash of vanilla extract. Oh my goodness. It's like breakfast for dessert. I mean, for it's like dessert for breakfast. But maybe you're not really a sweets person. Do you still want to eat oats? It's still an option. You can put like some greens in there. You can steam some spinach, maybe throw some nooch or nutritional yeast in there to give it kind of a cheesy, savory flavor. A little bit of like soy sauce, so like a splash. It might sound weird, but if you're a savory breakfast person, but you still want to eat oats, I think that's a really, really tasty option. I am a sweets person for sure. So I love the fruity, fruit-filled kind of nuts and oats breakfast. I actually eat overnight oats 5 to 7 days a week. It's simple and it tastes really good. But anyway, what if you are a savory person? What do you want? What about a big breakfast sandwich? Especially I'm in New Jersey, and breakfast sandwiches are kind of a thing here. But how do you have that as a plant-based option? Most bagels are vegan. Obviously, the ones that have egg in the name would not be, but most bagels are simply just water, yeast, and flour. So you'd be pretty good with most bagels. Read the labels or ask at your local bagel shop which of their bagels are vegan. And then you can throw on like a Beyond Meat sausage patty. I know Hillary's makes some that are you can get them in the frozen section of pretty much any grocery store, and I think they have one that might be gluten-free. They definitely have gluten-free burgers. The one is like an apple maple, so that's like a sweet and savory kind of thing. That one's pretty good. They have another one that's a little spicier. and uh, and then you can throw. Oh, Hillary's is gluten free, so that's awesome. Thank you. And then you can do the just egg. So there's a couple of options that way. Now they have one that's frozen, and I think you could just throw. I haven't tried it yet. You can just throw it like in the microwave or maybe even in your toaster, and then just put that. It's like folded. It's very fancy. Or you can get the just egg liquid in the refrigerated section of most grocery stores, and that scrambles up just like, a chicken egg. I was floored by the consistency. It was, so familiar. Ooh, air fryer, yes. Air fryer is so good. You can put pretty much anything in there, and you don't need any oil, you don't have to add anything else to it. Oh, it's so great. But yeah, so back to the bagel sandwich. So you got your bagel, and then you can do the Beyond Meat sausage patty, you do the just egg, or you scramble up some just egg and you put that on top. And don't forget cheese. We talked about cheese last week, right? So pick your favorite flavored cheese and get that on oh, Diane, yes, in the toaster. Oh, that sounds great. The just egg in the toaster. So we got the Beyond sausage patty. You have the just egg, and then some cheese. As we discussed last week, I'm probably going to use the Follow Your Heart Gouda cheese, and then some, as we say in New Jersey, salt, pepper, ketchup. Yes, that's one word. You put that at the top, and then you smush the other bagel top on top, and you cut it in half. Now you have a perfect breakfast sandwich, especially from here in New Jersey. Um, and that is, like, super filling and really gives you that, what do they call, like, stick to the ribs type feeling when you really just wanna be full and happy, and it's so good. You can also another thing I love to do while we're talking about bagels, I'll toast my bagel, and I'll put some hummus on it, and if I have pickles, I'll slice up a pickle and put that on there, or some tomato. Um, I've been known, to go when we used to, drive into work before the pandemic. Sometimes we would stop off at like a convenience store, and you can get bagels that are vegan, and then they didn't have hummus or anything at the convenience store I was going to, so I would order a bagel toasted with lettuce, onion, tomato, and pickles, and then I'd make sure I had hummus in the car. And when I got to the car, I'd put hummus on one side of the bagel, and then I'd have like this great breakfast sandwich that I was able to pick up from, a convenience store that has, that sells things like bagels. And they have, a counter where you can get sandwiches, but like how amazing is that? Right. And of course, like at first, women were a little confused. There was always that question, "Are you sure you didn't forget to add something? There's no meat or cheese on this. You don't want butter." They were very confused, but once they started to get it, then it made sense to them. But yeah, I always had like a little tub of hummus I was carrying with me in my bag, so that I could slather that on a bagel while I was in the car. Um, and then of course, let's see, there is oh, Diane, coconut bacon. Yes, bacon. Let's talk about that. Did you know that you can make bacon from carrots too? Um, Tabitha Brown has a really fun video to watch where she makes bacon from carrots, and you just kind of take your vegetable peeler and you make these little strips of carrot, and then there's a there's I think they she uses coconut aminos maybe. You can definitely find the recipe on her Instagram for sure. But the smokiness and then the texture that the carrots get. So if you were a person who really enjoyed very crispy bacon, the coconut bacon and the carrot bacon really gets that texture, that like that little crunchy snap that you get with those, and it's like so good. It really adds that saltiness. So I think really that's what we're looking for with these. with these foods, right? We're looking for that the fat and the saltiness and the crunchiness, and you really get all of that when you're eating, bacon made from coconut or from carrots, and it's so good. Let's see, what else? Well, if we want to get simple, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I have so many things to say about vegan breakfast. I don't know where to start. Let's go back to bagels and the things that we can put on bagels. So there's also all kinds of vegan butters. If you don't want to use things that contain palm oil, Mayokos is really good and it melts really well. And Earth Balance also melts really well, and you can just you toast your bagel, you slap that on, and and it's great. Just a simple bagel with some butter. And then there's also cream cheese. Tree line cheese um, makes really nice cream cheese, and the texture is it's just like I remember, like dairy cream cheese, and it's really thick and filling. And oh yeah, that's right, bacon bits. There are two brands, and one is definitely vegan, and then there's another like bacon crumble that isn't. So definitely just check the label. It's made from soy protein isolate, I think, is the main ingredient in the one that's vegan. And those are really crunchy, salty. You can toss them onto a salad too, so you don't have to just have them for breakfast. Cereals. There's so many different vegan cereals, and you can have, there's a zillion different plant milks. Like I said, soy milk is my favorite. We always have soy milk in the house, but cashew milk is super creamy. Hemp milk is very creamy and so good. And uh, I let flax milk is good. And oh yeah, we've got so many options here. Um, you can find plant milks in a couple different places in your grocery store. If you're not familiar, of course, you can find them down the aisle where they have all the canned milk and the packaged milk, the shelf stable stuff. So that's always an option. But now it's been really great. Probably in the last 10 years or so, you can get cold plant milk. So you go right to that same dairy section that you've been going to, and now you don't have to buy dairy milk. You can buy, um, typically, I see cold cashew, almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk. There's so many different options. And then you just find your favorite cereal. There's a great app that I use in the grocery store all the time, and it's called Is It Vegan? And it will scan the product, and it will tell you if it's definitely vegan, if it's most likely vegan, if it's not vegan, or if there's some questionable ingredients in there. It will tell you may not be vegan or may not be vegetarian. It'll tell you what those are, and that can help you weed out the cereals that you don't want to buy. You'll be able to find the vegan cereals. You can also find frozen pancakes and waffles, and also different mixes. And in fact, right here on Virtual Veg Fest, there is a pancake mix called It's Really Vegan, and it comes in original and chocolate, and it's really good. And then you can take your plant-based butter and put that on there, and of course maple syrup, and and then you've got those 2 flavors, and then, of course, if you wanna pick up some vegan chocolate chips and you really go to town with those pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes are definitely always one of my favorites. You can just throw some of those vegan chips in there and, have yourself a really nice, sweet, lovely breakfast. Tofu also makes a really great breakfast option. I love tofu scramble. I freeze my tofu, always firm or extra firm, and I'll put it in the freezer. because it changes the texture of tofu. So if you want your tofu to be really soft and moist and not super chewy, don't freeze it. But for things like a tofu scramble, you want to freeze it. It really makes the texture a lot chewier. So I'll freeze it and then, you defrost it. I press it for just a little bit. I don't love my tofu super pressed, so I don't press it for very long. But then I'll take the full block of tofu and I will crumble it into a bowl and then just pour probably like a quarter cup of soy milk and then some spices, things like garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of turmeric, gives it like a yellowy color, and then some black salt, or I think it's called kala namak, or black salt is what it's called, but it smells like eggs. So it really gives that it gives your tofu scramble, if that's what you're looking for, that sense of like eating eggs. So you don't want to mash it up too much because then it just becomes, like crumbs. So you want to leave some big pieces and you mix it up with, oh, don't forget salt and a little bit of salt and some black pepper. Just mix it all up. You throw it into a pan and you can let it sit. Now I don't use any oil. Occasionally I'll throw a little bit of butter in there, but you can just add a little bit of water and you can kind of keep it going that way. The tofu still has a lot of moisture in it, so it's not going to dry up right away. But as you're mixing it around in the pan, it will start to get a little crispy. So you want your tofu to brown a little bit. And then, so that's your tofu scramble, and you can throw in vegetables, like, peppers and onions are really good. You throw in some spinach, you want to get fancy, you can add some artichokes, or some roasted red peppers. That would be amazing. You can throw in some potato chunks, really like make it like a whole thing. Um, and and yeah, that's my tofu scramble. I love bread. I'm a real sucker for bread. So I like to make sandwiches. So my tofu scramble typically is not served on a plate or in a bowl. It's very often on bread, on some toast. And I'll sometimes melt some cheese on top or in the tofu while it's still in the pan. Of course, any cheese, follow your heart or your favorite vegan cheese that you want to throw in there, it'll melt and it'll be amazing. And then again with the, salt, pepper, ketchup on there. And then tempeh too. So tempeh is also made from soy. And it is fermented soybean cake is what it technically is. It looks kind of like bumpy. You'll see it in like these long strips in the packs. And you can just slice that up, you throw it in a pan. Again, like I said, I don't use any oil, so if you have, you can just add a little bit of water as you need to, and you can just, fry that up, or you can crumble it just like you did the tofu and make kind of like a tempeh scramble. I do prefer to cut it into strips and then make it kind of like a sandwich. And there are lots of fun things that you can do with tempeh for lunch and dinner as well. Um, but yeah, so these are, oh, you really can do so much with your vegan breakfast. And what else can we say about that? Something I like to add, which some people think is kind of weird, is I like to try to have greens with my breakfast. I try to, on good days when I'm really trying to take care of myself, I try to eat greens 3 times a day. So sometimes that means that I'm having a salad with my breakfast, and other times it means that I am I'm just gonna steam a bag of broccoli and have that on the side or separate. So I'm not eating my like overnight oats with strawberry preserves and walnuts and then like digging into a bowl of broccoli in the same bite. I do separate them sometimes, but if you want to have like a nice little spinach salad when strawberry and then with strawberries when they're in season, or if you like frozen strawberries defrosted, you can put them in with the spinach, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and that is like a just an amazing flavor combination, and it's really good to, kind of kick off your day with some strong veggies to power you through. I mean, especially maybe if you're gonna have a nice big heavy Beyond Meat sausage and egg and cheese bagel, you want to add some greens on the side. Just a thought. I don't know. But yeah, so let me, if you have any other questions, I don't know if I missed anything. Oh, and also if you are looking for cookbook suggestions, you can find cookbooks here. There are tons of them on Virtual Veg Fest. So if you are looking for cookbooks, check out the options that we have here. You're bound to find something that you love. Oh yeah, Ed Green's The Bagel. Why didn't that occur to me? I don't know. Um, but yeah, it'd be great to get those greens in any way that you can. Kind of start expanding those endothelial cells and get the blood really moving. Um, yeah. Well, okay. I think I don't see any additional questions in the chat here, but if you, because we're at about 20 minutes now, so if you don't have any more questions, I think that we can go ahead and close our evening. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Um, if you have any additional questions, if there are topics you want me to talk about, and always don't feel like you have to ask questions that are based around the topic. I come here with a topic so that I have something to talk about. But if you have questions that are unrelated to whatever it is that I'm talking about, please feel free. Post it in the chat. We can pivot as many times as you guys need. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to answer all of your questions about going vegan. Being vegan is the one of the very best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's one of the things that I talk about and love to talk about every single day. So please, you keep coming back, bring your questions. You can send me questions via social media and I'll address them on the next show. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so honored to be here and be able to share my knowledge and ideas and stuff with you guys. So thank you and have a great night.